Finally, we're about to end off the Birth by Sleep mini saga before moving on to another game with multiple characters.
Because this series wasn't long enough. So let's split up one game into 3 episodes. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think for the next one we'll need to do that, but we'll cover that when we actually get to it. Today, we're doing Birth by Sleep.
Fucking hope so.
The AQUA part of the story. We've already done the Terra and the Ventus, so anything that's overlapping, we're not going to talk about too much because we've already discussed it either once or twice. So, to get started with that, we start off with the whole Mark of Mastery stuff. Instantly something that we've covered 3 times, so we're going to skip over that. After the Mark of Mastery, we have the AQUA, you're now a Keyblade Master. Terra, you're terrible, go fuck off. And you might be wondering, hey, we've heard Erica say something about secret Keyblade Master information. Are we going to get to learn what that is?
It's the secret club initiation thingy information, yay.
No, the screen fades to black and we go back to this cutscene at the end of that conversation. We don't get to hear what they discuss.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But this is where we learn the whole thing about, hey, Master Xehanort's gone missing and there's these Unversed crawling around and it's all scary and you should go take care of that. Terra, you as well. Maybe you can actually become a master if you don't fuck this up. Spoiler, Terra fucks it up.
You know, one of them has just graduated and the other one has just failed at graduating. So, the world is at stake. You go fix it.
Yeah, no, they both have to go out and fix it. For AQUA, as now being a master, it's just like a mission she's going on. And for Terra, it's like exam 2.0. But Erica's, even though he trusts in Terra and tells Terra he trusts him, after Terra leaves for this mission, he takes AQUA to the side like, hey, AQUA, I just told Terra that I trust him and that I feel like he's going to nail this, but just in case he doesn't, maybe keep an eye on him because things could go wrong.
Maybe keep an eye on him and, when he steps out to fucking murder the guy or something, I don't know.
Yeah, so Erica's once again being a dickhead. Light does not equal nice people, apparently.
Yeah.
Of course, we also see Ventus running after Terra. We've been over this. But in this campaign, we actually see Ericus reacting to it because he sees Ventus fly off and he's like, fuck, that's no good. That's really bad. AQUA, go keep an eye on Terra and get that other boy back home now. And that's where we start off. The first world we go to is the Castle of Dreams. That's Cinderella's world. So in the time that Terra has done an entire world's worth of stuff, AQUA is just arriving now. Don't think about the time flow too much.
Has she just been looking around and, popping in and out of worlds, being like, you're here? Hello? No? Okay, how are we going?
There's actually in the game itself, I don't know if it is in the remastered version, it probably is. There's a timeline of what world, which character is in at what time, overlapping each other. And
that's a dangerous thing to publish in this series.
And yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
At all. Because AQUA goes straight from the land of departure where we start a game to this world where, that's almost instant. But in that, 5-second time frame, Terra has done this entire adventure in this world.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey.
Who cares?
Bullshit.
Forget about it.
They try to explain it in a later game. They fail horribly. Anyway, Terra leaves and AQUA starts her adventure in this world because we need to do stuff because we haven't finished the plot of the movie yet. We've gone to the ball, but now we need to actually do the princess stuff.
Because you're not supposed to meddle in other worlds, but, if it's not for their meddling, the plot doesn't happen.
Yeah, in this case, that is also very much the case. It's mostly because Disney is paying the bills, but hey.
Yeah.
We see AQUA running into the evil stepmother and sisters, and instantly she picks up on, hey, these people seem pretty fucking evil. Which, they do.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. God damn.
So she follows them home and runs into the fairy godmother because she needs somebody to talk to. And the fairy godmother spouts off stuff about how AQUA's trying to fight the darkness with light, and that's not the proper way to fight the darkness, apparently.
How the hell does she know about it?
I don't fucking know. The fairy godmother is a strangely important character in this series.
God.
We'll get to that at some other point. But It's kind of funny because we've got like these Keyblade wielders and all these like magical shenanigans, but any like Disney character who is inherently like magical is pretty much always relatively important to insanely powerful. Like we have Maleficent, which is a witch. We have the fairy godmother, which is a fairy. We have Merlin, which is a wizard. All of these characters aren't like Keyblade wielder or anything, but they like insert themselves into the plot because they have magic, and they're pretty much what they are is a good excuse for shenanigans to happen.
And that does explain how they do their magic shenanigans, just by knowing the inner workings of light and dark and all that stuff.
I suppose so, but her whole thing is you're fighting darkness with light, and that's not the right way to do it, and she doesn't offer the actual proper way to fight darkness. It's the whole thing which we got stuck on for forever last time, of if you fight darkness with light, your light is only going to create more darkness, because it casts shadows, and that
that metaphor doesn't work, but she's more of a fighting fire with fire kind of person, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like she's mostly just complaining without really offering any solutions. So Aqua says, I don't understand what you're saying because what you're saying doesn't make any sense. And her response to that is to turn Aqua into the size of a mouse.
I mean, rude. Sure. Just telling someone you don't make any sense and get fucked. Rude, sure. Turning someone tiny, also very rude.
I mean, some fanboy somewhere really, really, really liked this scene. I'm certain of it.
And that's, yeah, I've been doing some Googling I shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I should have warned you about like not Googling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, welcome to anime. So,
yeah, damn.
Aqua goes exploring at mouse size because that might like enable her to learn something. It doesn't, but she does help.
Seems fun.
It is fun. It's always fun to be like a little person in a big house in a game and stuff like that. I like this level a lot. But all she does is help get Cinderella out of her locked room, because at the same time downstairs there is the Duke. I think it's the Duke anyway, with the glass slipper. And just in time for the plot, when there needs to be a distraction, Aqua turns back to her normal size and she's like, "Oh, could I try the slipper?" And obviously the evil stepmother, which has a name which I always forget, is like, "Who the fuck are you and what are you doing in my house?
Why you're just so weird, and why is your hair blue?" And yeah.
And that works because all this commotion is just enough time for Cinderella to I don't have a screenshot of that. For Cinderella to show up, try on the glass slipper. I think it's the same as in the movie. It always bothers me. They drop the glass slipper and Cinderella's like, "I've got the second one. And this one fits." Yeah, no shit. It's not very believable, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, Cinderella goes off to the castle to live happily ever after. That's the end of the movie, right? But we can't have the end of the movie be the end of this world, because that would be altogether too logical. So what happens is we need a boss fight. And we're normal size again, so we can't do a Ventus and fight a goddamn cat in this world.
No.
So the darkness inside of these three people here, that forms a unversed, which they really, really like, and that'll be a boss fight. The unversed is a pumpkin carriage, like the evil version of the pumpkin carriage that Cinderella rides in.
Right. Which they know jack shit about, so that makes, sense.
It's just happened to be a nearby pumpkin turning into an evil monster. An evil monster that shoots bombs out of its head, and I don't have a screenshot of that either, it seems. But just after that unversed spawns and is created, it starts spewing bombs everywhere, and it fucking blows these three people up, just straight up.
Nice.
It's kind of metal, honestly, for Kingdom Hearts purposes. It's not even like, oh, they succumb to the darkness in their hearts, and that's how. No, they just literally blow up.
I mean, serves them right, I guess. But
certainly.
Still.
It's kind of gruesome. And that's everything that happens in this world. We're going to speed through a lot of the Disney stuff even more than usual, because a lot of the things that we're going to talk about here is Aqua fixing the mess that Terra and Ventus made before her. She's kind of running after them, always 10 minutes behind, and that just doesn't make for very engaging story progression.
Yeah.
She's a fun character when it's Kingdom Hearts stuff, but in the Disney stuff, it's very boring.
Yeah, but it seems realistic having just the one character fixing everyone else's bullshit.
Oh, certainly. I'm very happy that, and I don't know if this compilation is going to really show it off too well, but I'm very happy that we now have like a female character with an actual personality and agency and like making choices and doing things.
Also that.
Because we haven't had that up until now. Other than maybe Shion deciding that she wants to die, but she's also part Sora, so that's just kind of what Sora people do.
Yeah, and also that's her one and only and final decision she makes.
And you could even argue that Shion isn't really a female character because she's Sora.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Anyway.
Let's move on. Snow White time. Snow White is sleeping in a coffin because she's had a poisoned apple and nothing happens here. Aqua goes to beat up a mirror and finds a prince to go kiss an unconscious woman, which I really am wondering how they're going to deal with this in the live action remake, because that's a big no-no in 2023.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly do wonder that. That's the only comment I have on this world. Literally nothing happens. Snow White is asleep, and for once, the Kingdom Hearts characters don't enforce the plot. Aqua just goes to beat up a mirror, and
maybe they'll just have her write a note, put it, stick it to the wall behind her.
Just in case I get poisoned, I consent to get kissed.
Something like that, or I consent to kissing. I don't know, give it a try. Something.
I'm endlessly curious. There's very few of these live action Disney movies that go over very well, so we'll see. Moving on, we also have a flashback. There's a little bit of things going on here, more than I gave it credit for. We also have a flashback of Aqua seeing Snow White like being passed out in that like coffin thing. And that reminds her of when Ventus first came to the Land of Departure. Because if you remember correctly, after the training incident that Ventus had with Master Xehanort, where Xehanort kind of just like ripped the darkness out of Ventus, he was kind of in a state of shock. And once he got to the Land of Departure, apparently he spent a certain amount of time, I don't know how long, in a more or less comatose state. So he was asleep for quite a while, and that kind of correlates with Snow White being asleep.
I can see the resemblance.
Due to the poison, not to the lack of darkness. It's not really an important bit, but it's a thematic thing. So let's move on to the Enchanted Dominion, the Maleficent's world. I don't know what the princess is called here. We enter this world just at the same time as Ventus Aurora. That's her name. I've got it in the notes here. Just at the same moment where Ventus in Maleficent's castle releases Aurora's heart to go back to her, because Aurora's heart had been stolen previously by Terra / maybe Xehanort just around the corner. And that leads up to the whole thing of Maleficent telling Ventus, I got that from a Keyblade wielder. Maybe you can help me find more hearts, because Terra isn't around anymore. And Ventus like being, Terra wouldn't do that. And that's where Aqua shows up saying, indeed, Terra wouldn't do that. Ventus, go home. And Ventus is like, no, I'm not going to go home. I'm going to run away. And Aqua just kind of stands there and listens to Maleficent, and then suddenly thinks maybe Terra did actually do a bad thing, because part of my mission was looking after Terra, and I've been doing a shit job of that so far.
Yeah.
Then Maleficent turns into a dragon and we beat her ass.
Nice.
So, want to talk about some Kingdom Hearts stuff instead of Disney stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we've been here, done that, and kind of know where it's going, so yeah.
There's a fun little adventure here, all between. There's like a lot of like gameplay and small interactions that I'm skipping over because they really don't matter. Aqua, it's still a fun story to play through. I want to like not give a misrepresentation. It's a fun story. It's just like not that relevant in the grand scheme of things until somewhat later.
I mean, just relevance and fun gameplay definitely don't always coexist.
No, definitely not. And that's it's a very good example. It's very not relevant starting out here, but it's fun, and these worlds are interesting to walk through, and there's definitely like changes to some of the maps and some areas that you can only get to as AQUA and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's some unique stuff here, just not for our purposes. We're gonna do some Kingdom Hearts stuff because we see Terra flying through a badly textured cylinder
on his badass Keyblade motorcycle thingy.
Yeah, I don't think I have a screenshot of Aqua's, but Aqua's is kind of like a scooter. It's
They give her a more feminine thingy.
not necessarily more feminine, just not overly masculine. Like Terra has a motorcycle, and Ventus has a skateboard, and Aqua has a at least it's not a bicycle. Anyway,
I'm trying to find it somewhere. Whatever.
if I remember, I'll put a image up on screen, and I can just like very quickly. I need to show you a picture with her on it, otherwise it's gonna make no fucking sense how she uses it.
that goes for all the things, yeah.
Yeah, but this one especially is actually really bad. I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
Hell, that's just standing between two wings.
It's kind of. I think of it as like a Keyblade Segway. Is what I think of it as.
Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking of
Anyway.
segways, we follow Terra to Radiant Garden, where we run into a girl without a personality.
Yay.
Because, if you remember correctly, this is the world that Kairi originally comes from. This is where she was born, before going to the Destiny Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Kairi in a little bit of trouble with some Unversed, and Kairi sees, hey, strange woman, I'm gonna hide behind her. And this is important. While hiding behind Aqua, Kairi puts her hand on the Keyblade.
Dun dun dun.
So we beat
there-
some Unversed.
Is there some sort of mechanism in which, like Thor's hammer, where if you're not worthy of a Keyblade and you touch the Keyblade, you get zapped or whatever?
It's really unclear. In the first game and in the second game as well, or well, the third game, in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, we see two instances of people who are not like chosen by the Keyblade, not worthy of the Keyblade, not however you want to call it, haven't had their Keyblade power unlocked, I don't know what you want to call it, who try to pick up a Keyblade and it just disappears out of their hand and goes back into Sora's hand.
Yeah.
The first one is with Leon in Traverse Town, and then sometime in Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora makes a deal with Jack Sparrow for Jack to go help them, and he will give him his Keyblade as a reward, and he gives him the Keyblade, and then Jack takes the Keyblade and it immediately disappears out of his hand.
I mean, that knowing that mechanism, that would be something Jack himself would do. So, fair enough.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a fantastic scene. That said,
All right.
though, if you recall from Terra's campaign where he, bestowed the power to wield the Keyblade onto Riku with his little ceremony where he, holds out the Keyblade to Riku and lets Riku touch it, that is, I guess, kind of the way that the power to wield a Keyblade can be not even transferred, just unlocked in a person. And what it seems like in this situation here, I'll just straight up tell you what this is about, is that doesn't even have to be intentional. It's just if you touch somebody's Keyblade while they're also holding it, that thing happens. Because this is the reason eventually in Kingdom Hearts 2, Kairi gets a Keyblade at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason for that she can wield one.
Right.
Because she touched this for a second one time.
That seems like very bad security. That's kind of like, the people with NFC scanners scanning your credit card and whatever.
Yeah, no, that's...
And this isn't even intentional.
You could argue as well that it's not to do with this and that it's because she has a pure heart and pure intentions and the Keyblade chose that. But it's heavily implied that it's because of this, because otherwise this cutscene doesn't need to exist.
Yeah.
So that's why Kairi can wield a Keyblade. She touched Aqua's key one time while she was scared. After that, this literally only takes a second, so it's not a whole big deal. Mickey Ex Machina shows up to help out with fighting the Unversed, and then promptly after fighting the Unversed, he disappears because he has the Star Shard, which just takes him where the plot needs him to be. And after he's done his thing here, the plot thinks you're no longer needed here, and there's going to be a really weird conversation between Aqua and Kairi if there's a giant mouse standing next to them, so away you go.
And they don't mention it either. They're like, shows up, kicks some ass, disappears, and they're like, okay, fine.
Kind of. They start a conversation, Aqua and Mickey, that is, where they're like, I feel like this girl is somebody special. She might be a main character. And
Does she have personality? No. Then yes.
And then Mickey's like, oh, I feel like it's somebody we should protect. And then he just disappears, and Aqua's like, okay, that happened. Anyway, Kyrie, let's talk. Because Kyrie picked some flowers for Aqua while she was getting saved. How nice of her.
Oh, whilst being saved, she's not just hiding and paying attention to what the fuck's going on. They're just like, all right, no, she seems to have this. Let me pick some flowers.
I guess. I mean, there's only a handful of Unverse around, and they were all fighting that. So Kyrie just presumably ran off, picked some flowers, saw that everything was safe again, and came to give Aqua the flowers.
I mean, nice gesture, but dumbass bitch.
She's 5.
Fair enough.
Aqua also, and this is infuriating, casts a spell on Kyrie, a protective spell, to keep her safe in case she ever comes in touch with darkness. And that spell will lead her to the light of another, somebody to protect her.
Who could that be?
I wonder what that means. That is the way she ended up on Destiny Islands with Sora, obviously.
Since when can she do spells and shit?
That's not explicitly made a point out of.
Is that part of having a Keyblade, or is that just something she can do right now?
That seems like mostly an Aqua thing, because and by this point in the game, if you're playing the game, you've picked up on this. Aqua, her moveset is very magic based to begin with, so a lot of the moves she does are magic, and her normal 3-hit combo with her Keyblade, just like her melee hits, are very weak in comparison. So this probably is just like a magic spell aside from Keyblade relevant. Probably a non-Keyblade wielder could do this as well if they had magic powers. Probably Merlin could do this as well.
No.
But I have no fucking clue is really what it comes down to. Anyway, so now that all the prequel plot points to make the original games more confusing have been set up, because every prequel needs to do that. That's the purpose of having a prequel.
Trying to fucking clear things up and then making them worse.
Yeah. The only fucking adult in the whole series shows up, that being Kyrie's grandma.
All right. She was around here.
And Kyrie's like, oh, tell me that story again, Grandma. And Grandma tells her the story of how the whole world used to be one big world, but then people started to fight over the light, and everything sank into the darkness, and now all the worlds are divided. And Grandma, this is a Keyblade secret. How the fuck do you know that?
Grandma being a Keyblade?
I
just on her pension, I guess.
Occupation used to be Keyblade wielder. I have no idea. There's I don't even want to call them fan theories, because they're mostly jokes to do with a mobile game, which takes place in that time of the world was filled with light and the world was one big continent and stuff like that. This is just, again, her telling that story for anybody who hasn't played Kingdom Hearts 1 in the last 10 years, because it's been a while. And this time we actually get to hear the whole story through a voiceover rather than a text bubble. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Aqua goes to fight the boss fights that we've talked about 3 times. We see the same cutscene again, where she's like, hey, Terra, you're being a bad dude. And Terra's like, fuck you. And we have a slightly different camera angle for this one as well.
Yeah.
I really like this cutscene for doing that. There's nothing else to tell here. We've already seen everything this cutscene has to offer.
It's just a different perspective.
A slightly different one. And as everybody in Radiant Garden, they do one thing, then they do this boss fight, and then they do another thing. Aqua needs to do another thing, so she goes to look around, because she's still on a mission to get Ventus home, and she had him right there, and then Ventus ran off again. So she goes to look for Ventus, and instead of finding Ventus, she finds Vanitas, which is kind of Ventus. She doesn't know that.
Sort of.
And that's the second boss fight you have here in Radiant Garden against Vanitas, which is quite a difficult fight. And after you beat him, you go to take off his mask to see who the fuck is this dude. And he just jumps off, and he's like, oh, that was a fun fight. I guess I won't kill you. You could be a second option for me. You're a good backup. I'll keep you alive. And he just disappears.
Ominous as fuck.
Leaving Aqua to think, a backup for what? And you know what the funny thing is? Mm-hmm. You might think you know what the backup... A backup for what, right?
Someone else to split in half into a light and a dark version?
Yeah, but there isn't chance. Take this with a grain of salt, because this is like not something canonical. But there is a chance that he means something entirely different outside of the scope of the story of this game.
Right, go on.
No.
Oh, god damn it.
If I have to suffer, so do you. Within the writing of this game, the backup definitely is meant to be, hey, you have a whole bunch of light, like, in your heart, and I am very dark, so if Ventus doesn't work out, we can use you to create a Keyblade instead of Ventus.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense, and that's definitely how that line was written. In more modern context, I'm not going to give you all of the context, because that requires me explaining a 4-hour, 5-hour mobile game.
Which you're going to do eventually.
Which I will do eventually, after Kingdom Hearts 3, so it'll be a little while before we get there. Due to a very convoluted series of events, it is possible that Vanitas is referring to AQUA as a backup option, not for creating the Keyblade, but as a person to corrupt. And I'm going to leave it at that for now.
Right.
After Radiant Garden, it's time for... Okay, that's anticlimactic. I forgot I had this screenshot. Oh, also, you get a nice Keyblade from meeting Kairi, which is almost the exact same as her Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 2. So that's kind of neat. Anyway,
cute.
After Radiant Garden, we go to Disney Town with Pete. Yay!
Yay!
And here we actually get to see Pete's like villain origin story unfold. Because so far he's just been a bit of a doofus who is annoying to be around, right? He's not done anything evil in this game yet. He sucks at helping people.
Yeah.
So you play volleyball with Unversed.
As you do.
That's AQUA's minigame. It fucking sucks. And then it's the ceremony for the winners for the Million Dreams Awards. I don't know if I've talked about this before yet, and if I have, you most likely have not remembered because it's not relevant. There's a contest going on in Disney Town where everybody gets to vote for their favorite person in the town, and the person who wins is just the favorite person of the most people.
Whoop-de-doo.
It's that's not true. You also get a ice cream flavor named after you, so that's neat. And
that's better than the equivalent we have over here. Just being knighted, getting a medal, and that's about it.
I mean, it's a democratic version of that, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's kind of useless, but it's neat.
That seems better.
So, who else would win this contest other than AQUA, Farah and Zen, Terra and Van? All at a split first place, having the exact same amount of votes. Don't think about how that works, because Ventus helped 3 people, and Terra helped 2 people, and AQUA helped 1 person, but they still have the same amount of votes, so that's fine.
Who the fuck is voting? Is it just this world, or
the people in Disney Town? So just this world.
Right.
So that would be Ventus helped Huey, Louie, and Dewey, the 3 ducklings, and Terra helped Chip and Dale, and AQUA helped some knockoff B-brand Goofy. And maybe some people were around as well and saw, hey, those people look nice, I'll vote for them. Something like that. They have a split first place. That's the most important part. And the actual most important part is that Pete did not win. So he storms up on stage, confronting Minnie about, hey, people voted the fuck for me because I'm awesome. Why didn't I win?
I mean, fair enough, as, Pete has been there, presumably, quite a bit longer than either of our 3 main characters.
I mean, he fucking lives there.
And, yeah, and our 3 main characters each helped some people within like the span of a day
at most,
and just happens to be there on the day this vote was happening.
Yeah,
which
some real recency bias there.
Yeah, I can see his frustration.
I'm definitely 100% on Pete's side here. Minnie, however, is not, and fucking banishes him to the Shadow Realm.
Oh, fuck. You dare step on the stage with the queen? Go fuck yourself.
She definitely is a monarch. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
So, Pete gets fucking banished to the Shadow Realm, that's where he meets Maleficent, and Maleficent's like, hey, somebody's here in the darkness. Maybe I can use you. And that's how Pete becomes a bad guy. So, all of the shit Pete did in Kingdom Hearts 2, pretty directly Minnie's responsibility and Minnie's fault.
Yeah, damn. Finally, aside from Aqua, we have a female character making a decision, and it's the most terrible decision.
Fucking royalty.
Yeah.
Now, we move on to Olympus Coliseum, where Aqua meets Hercules. I was going to say Hercule. This is a different character, different series. Hercules and Zack from Final Fantasy VII, where Zack is like, hey, you're a girl. You want to go out sometime? Because I have like no social awareness at all. And Aqua's like, I don't know about that. That maybe not. And that Zack thinks, oh, you know what we should do? You should join the tournaments. And if I can beat you in a fight, we're going on a date. And Aqua's like, okay, sure, we can do that because I can probably beat you. So that's a safe bet. Let's do that.
That would be quite a terrible but fun experiment to just change Tinder into that. Just let's have a fight, and if you win, then we're going on a date.
It's just the Hunger Games dating edition, which is literally just what the Hunger Games books actually are.
Yeah. I don't know about the books.
Well,
it seemed like the first movie.
It's we won't get to that because I fucking hate the Hunger Games. It's real bad. Anyway, Aqua obviously beats Zack because Zack just has a fucking sword and Aqua is a badass motherfucker. So Zack like, okay, I won't take you on a date, but next time I'll get another chance and next time I'll beat you. And then we will go on a date. And Aqua's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Now, why am I explaining all of this? Is this relevant in any way, shape, or form for the lore?
Probably, otherwise you wouldn't be explaining.
No, I'm just explaining this to depress you. Because we know that Aqua is not going to make it out of this game in at least not in a very dateable situation, because she's not around in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and at the end of Coded, which is why we're in this whole mess, we learn that Aqua, Ventus, and Terra all need to be saved. So she's not in a good place at the end of this game. We can say that for pretty sure already. Between this game and Kingdom Hearts 1 is a time skip of about 10 years. So between this game and Aqua being even on the table of being relevant again, there's about 12 years there. In that same time, Zack in his own game fucking dies.
Oh.
So there's not going to be a second match. There's not going to be a date because one of these people will learn the fate of in like about 30 to 40 minutes. And the other person is actually dead.
Well, so, I mean, Aqua didn't seem that much into it, so for her, it's like, eh.
Oh, for her purposes, it's probably good that he died, honestly.
For him, it's,
For him, it's he had a nice day, something to look forward to, and then he went into his own adventure where he died without ever having closure for what happened here. That is all assuming that this is there's no multiverse shit going on, and this is like the exact same physical Zack as in Final Fantasy VII, which probably isn't. Maybe he's still around.
Let's not get into the multiverse again.
There's always a question of this kind of thing. Like, is the Donald Duck we travel with the same Donald Duck from DuckTales? Actually, I don't think Donald is in DuckTales. Scrooge McDuck. Is that the same one as from DuckTales? Is it the same one that we see in Disneyland? Anyway.
I mean, we're seeing with with Marvel how the multiverse fucks up your whole shit and nothing really matters anymore. So let's not get into that.
I don't think they're gonna go very multiverse in that way for Kingdom Hearts. At least not anytime soon until they really start to run out of ideas. Which, knowing the people who write this, that's gonna be a while. We move on to the Lilo and Stitch world, which is more so just the Stitch world because it's all in space, not in Hawaii.
On Hawaii.
Hawaii is a collection of islands. As a country, you would say in. Every individual island would be on. Grammar Nazis.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
In deep space, which is literally what this world is called, is just deep space.
Somewhere in space.
Kind of reminds me of the title cards in Guardians. Where are we?
Yeah.
Just space.
Space.
To be fair, I think that's an Infinity War, but who cares? Aqua finds this junky wayfinder. The same thing Aqua, Terra, and Ventus have to remind each other of their friendship. And apparently Stitch has made one after meeting either Terra or Ventus. I don't remember. And that's everything I really had to say about that world. Okay. Aqua and Stitch go on an adventure, and Stitch learns about friendship even more. Which again, kind of nullifies the entire point of his actual original movie.
Yeah, it's somehow within these games, it's either they need to be there to set the plot in motion, or just literally do the plot of the Disney thingies, or they're there to absolutely annihilate anything of meaning for the Disney movies.
And that's kind of the issue, right? Because there is some, specifically Kingdom Hearts 3, there are some worlds in this series where the story of that world takes place after the original movie. So they can get away with a lot more weird Kingdom Hearts shit and actually like intermingling the characters with each other. Like the Toy Story world in Kingdom Hearts 3 takes place after Toy Story 1. And the same thing with the Monsters, Inc. world. That one takes place after the actual movie, so they can get away with weird, janky shit. Don't.
Well, for Monsters Inc., that's fine, but Toy Story, after Toy Story 1, we still have Toy Story 2 and 3 and 4, maybe 5?
And at some point 6.
Yeah, damn.
So long as they keep making money, they're going to keep making more movies of them. But the thing is that Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2, while being like part of a series, obviously, they don't really rely on each other too much. Like everything that happened in Toy Story 1, by the time you get to that world in Kingdom Hearts 3, has already happened. And nothing you do really has anything to do with Toy Story 2, because that is yet to happen in the future. It might also take place after Toy Story 2 and before 3, I don't know. But the point being is that one doesn't actually like take place during the story or like before the story, like with Deep Space. And to a certain extent, the next world we're going to be talking about, which we have on screen right here, which is Neverland with Peter Pan, kind of does the same thing. It doesn't really take place during the story of the movie. It just takes place in that world at a arbitrary point in time.
Either before nor after, or doesn't matter. It's
just these characters in this world, and the movie probably happened at some point and maybe still needs to happen. It's not relevant, and it doesn't really impact each other one way or the other. And that's usually the way I personally like it most, because either you have literally Ven picking up an apple for the old witch to go poison Snow White with, or you have Aqua, Terra, and Ventus entirely like giving Stitch the character development that usually takes his whole movie before the movie even starts. So one way or the other, they're both very, very annoying. This one, however, I mean, it's also very forced in its narrative, because what happens is you see Aqua picks up this treasure map, and now she's the leader of this expedition, and she's like, no, I don't want to be. And the kids are kind of forcing her to be. So they go on an expedition, Aqua learns to double jump, which is neat, and she finds the treasure chest, which they are looking after, even though they already had it. So at this point, it's just kind of like they're playing, right? It's not even a real adventure. They're just like having fun as kids, which would make way more sense if this was the story that Ven went through in this world, rather than Aqua. Just have a place for him to have fun and be a kid. Because while Ventus isn't like the same age as these two little fuckers over here, he's a little bit older. He's still like 15. And Aqua here is a full-ass adult. So she finds the Keyblade that Ven left behind, and she's like, oh, it is because it's meaningful to him. It's important to him. That's so cute. And it gives me hope that Ven is doing all right. And let's not think about Terra too much, but I think Ven is doing all right, and I really should get on getting him home, because that was like a very important part of my mission, if I recall correctly. But at least he's happy.
And also, let's think about Terra, because he's also a big part of her mission. But
that's confrontational. We don't like confrontations. We want to be all, everybody's happy. We want to be hippies, okay? We want to be Keyblade hippies. Just do a lot of Keyblade drugs.
Yeah.
So after that, she runs into Vanitas again, because anytime this game doesn't know who Aqua should fight in a world, it's just Vanitas.
And now he has the wooden Keyblade?
Yeah, he picked up the wooden Keyblade. That's very well noted of you in this blurry screenshot. He has the wooden Keyblade, and he's like, oh, look at this, a toy that Ventus used to play with. I'm gonna fucking break the symbol of your friendship.
You bastard.
Even though the symbol of their friendship is the Wayfinders and not this Keyblade. But hey, what do you know?
And detail.
Having two symbols of your friendship doesn't work in this situation. But he's still a dick for breaking the wooden Keyblade. So Aqua, again, tries to beat him up and seems to be successful, but it's taken her quite a bit of energy, so she goes to take a little bit of a nap on the floor. In reality, she just passes out of exhaustion. After some time, she wakes up and she just leaves again. I don't know what the whole point of her passing out was, other than maybe she thinks she's killed Vanitas, but obviously we are well aware that that did not happen.
Yeah, and in a series like this, as long as you don't see anyone dying, they're not dead.
And even if you do see them dying, we'll get to that.
I'm sure.
We'll get to that today, actually.
Oh, goddamn.
After leaving Neverland, we've done all the Disney worlds in the game. I told you this one was going to be quick. We're going to Destiny Islands, where Aqua runs into Sora and Riku, because everybody needs to go to the Destiny Islands as well. And Aqua thinks, hey, there's Riku kid. He's strong and has a lot of willpower, much like Terra. And this Sora kid, he's a little bit goofy. He reminds me a lot of Ventus. Maybe one of them needs to have a Keyblade. And then she notes, hold the fuck on. I think this Riku kid already has the power to wield a Keyblade. Terra, you absolute idiot. Why did you do that? And she contemplates, maybe I should give the same ceremony and the same power to Sora as well. But she decides not to do it.
So she thinks like, Terra, you dumb fuck. Why did you do that? Gonna do the same. But that doesn't. But,
Well, yeah, but like she's actually like a Keyblade master and not potentially a dark evil person.
He had a bit of dark glow at above that one time.
I mean,
it's fine.
I agree with you that for the most part it's fine. Up until like 5 minutes from now when Terra kills his master. At that point, it's no longer fine.
Yeah,
But from Aqua's point of view, she's been told Terra has failed the exam because of his inability to control the darkness inside him, to suppress it. And then her master told her, part of your mission is going to be keeping an eye on Terra because I don't trust that he can keep his darkness under control. So then seeing that Terra chose this kid, which, to be fair, Aqua's worry is entirely correct here because Riku does go on to be a very darkness dickhead.
Well, like half darkness, half like dickhead.
He does work through the whole darkness thing at some point, but not before being quite a big problem. So that's why, well, she doesn't know all that, of course, but she foresees that there's going to be some trouble with Riku in the future if Terra is the one that gave him the power to wield a Keyblade. So that's why she's like, maybe Sora needs one as well. But then she actually doesn't do it, deciding that her whole friendship has, in the last couple of days at least, been absolutely nuked by all this Keyblade responsibility that they all have. And she decides that maybe it's better for their friendship if they don't all have Keyblades. Skip for 12 years and literally all three of them also have Keyblades.
Yay.
So Aqua's decision here, while very nice and very noble to wish these kids have a better future than she has right now in her life, ends up being meaningless.
Didn't do jack shit.
After that, she finds Mickey floating in a badly textured cylinder. Am I ever going to call this anything else than a badly textured cylinder? No.
Nope.
No, I'm not. She brings him to his master, that being Yensid, where she learns that Master Erika's, her master, has been killed. And the two people responsible are Terra and Xehanort. And instantly, her response is, you must be missing some context here. I call fake news on this one, because Terra wouldn't do that, right? Terra never would do that. Terra's a good guy. It's been a bit of a dog, but he's a good guy. And yeah, instead of just like, go to the Keyblade graveyard and talk to him yourself. You'll see. He's turned into a dickhead. He's not a good guy anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna go see for myself at the Keyblade graveyard, because he's... Just leave already, Aqua. Yeah, okay, good. You'll see. We need you at the climax of the game. Also, take Mickey with you, because he's waking up and apparently he also needs to be there.
He has to eat. That takes him wherever the fuck he needs to be, right? So
I honestly don't remember if she actually takes Mickey, or Mickey does show up with that star shot. It's probably actually the latter. You're probably right. Aqua goes to the Keyblade graveyard, and here's where the story starts really being important. Everything up until now has been just Aqua going through Disney World, going through a lot of shit, and here's where things actually start getting like Kingdom Hearts relevant. We've seen this whole cutscene. Aqua confronts Terra. Terra's like, yeah, I kind of did it, but it was Xehanort's fault. And then Ventus shows up and he's like, hey, I'm Pa Sora, I want to die. And the whole Keyblade fight against Xehanort and Vanitas breaks out. Ventus gets frozen, gets dropped down a cliff, and Aqua's just there holding him, waiting for him to thaw out. At which point, Braig shows up, which is Zigbar. And his whole deal is distracting Aqua, because Ventus is sure as hell not going to do anything. So you fight him as a distraction, and after you fight him, he's like, I keep forgetting, dude. I shouldn't mess with Keyblade wielders, but you know what? That just means I made the right choice. I stalled for time. I got the old man all the time he needed. I'm out of here. And just as Aqua is wondering what the fuck he's talking about, Vanitas jumps down from the cliff and bonks her on the head with a Keyblade, and she passes out. At this point, as Ventus' campaign, you fight Vanitas and you do that whole thing. During all that, Aqua is taking a nap.
Being bonked out.
Yeah. When she wakes up, she sees Ventus standing there with a very extra-looking Keyblade in his hand. Is a very extra-looking Keyblade, which is the Keyblade, not a Keyblade. Very important distinction. And she's like, "Oh my God, Ventus, you're okay. You thawed out. You look good. You're happy." And actually, that's not Ventus. He's got yellow eyes, so that means he's evil. This is Vanitas in control. In Ventus' body. I think, I don't have a screenshot of it. After this, his armor, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. After this, his armor fades away into like the bodysuit that Vanitas wears, just with Ventus' head on top of it, which looks kind of weird. So, while we fight Ventus/Vanitas here on the outside, at the same time, the battle between Ventus and Vanitas inside of his own heart is happening. And both of those battles conclude at the same time, resulting in the Keyblade blowing the fuck up.
That seems like a good resolution.
Yeah. And that explosion is then what we see in Terra's campaign at the end, when Xehanort is taking Terra's body and we see that explosion that like blows them all away from this world. That's created from this moment where the Keyblade was, after being formed 2 minutes later, already destroyed again. Now, that's the end of Aqua's campaign. Now we get to the, I think it's called the secret episode, or it's the extra episode, or whatever. There's a epilogue episode which you play as Aqua, which you unlock when you have completed all 3 of the main campaigns. Which starts at Yanset's Tower, where Aqua, Ventus, and Mickey are regrouping, or rather, I should say, Aqua and Mickey are regrouping with Ventus' body. Because Ventus, there's no heart in his body.
He's part Sora, so, he just wanted to die.
Yeah, and he kind of succeeded, because his heart, being very, very damaged at the end of his own campaign, has seemingly left his body to go repair itself somewhere. We have no idea where. We have some idea where, but Yanset and Aqua have no idea where.
If his heart left his body...
Don't think about it. He didn't form a Heartless, so he's not a nobody. He's just an empty husk. Does it make sense? No.
Why follow your own rules?
Well, in a very strict manner of speaking, this doesn't really violate the rules. Kind of. It does. Because the nobody is the body that's left behind when a Heartless is created isn't necessarily accurate, because it's just an entirely new being that is generated. Because when Sora turned into a Heartless, Roxas generated in fucking Twilight Town for some reason. And Sora is a good example because he generated 2 nobodies, because he's also generated Nominate when he did that. So it's not really the body left behind as an empty body. It's just it creates a being called a nobody, which is just a body without a heart.
which just accidentally happens to look exactly like the person that generated it. Except if you're named Sora, but that doesn't count.
Except if you're the main character and you need to generate new main characters, then they have a different design. But other than that, you look the exact same, indeed. It's very convoluted, and it's best not to think about it too deeply, but there is a difference between a nobody being a body without a heart and just a body that had the heart taken out of it, which is what this is. It's just Ventus's heart has been removed from his body.
It's just a corpse.
So he needs a place to be stored, pretty much. They just need a place to put his body until they can figure out what the fuck is going on with his heart and he can wake up. So AQUA takes him home to the land of departure, which has been absolutely fucked because Xehanort blew it up, kind of, in Terra's campaign. And AQUA not happy to see all that. But, I am happy because of one very, very unimportant thing. Remember that speech that we didn't, or that conversation rather, that we didn't get to hear at the beginning of the game when AQUA was named the Keyblade Master? We hear it in a flashback now.
Yay.
And as AQUA picks up her master's fallen Keyblade, we hear Master Ericus telling AQUA that if at any point in time anything should happen to him and the darkness comes knocking on their door in this world, use the Keyblade to lock this world away so all who enter will be forever lost. So she puts Ventus in one of these thrones, one of these chairs, and she locks the world away, changing this into, and this is a name you probably don't remember, the Chamber of Waking.
Kind of. That. Oh wait, is that the room that they were looking for, which was in connection with the other room, which kind of looked the same like this, but with other symbols on the wall?
Yep. The Chamber of Waking is what Xemnas and the organization were looking for in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. Because that is where Xemnas believes he would find a very important person, Ventus, as we know now. And I don't blame you for not remembering this detail, but if you did, and anybody who's listening who did remember this, you might be thinking, but wait, weren't they looking for that room in Castle Oblivion? Mm-hmm. Boy, have I got news for you, because Castle Oblivion is what the Land of Departure turns into.
Yeah, because, it's plot and, tying all stuff together and shit.
I mean, I suppose they look similar enough in their color scheme and the design for it to kind of work.
Yeah, just shift the pieces around in the weirdest configurations you can imagine, and voila.
Oh, it's kind of fun. In Kingdom Hearts 3, spoiler I suppose, but in Kingdom Hearts 3 they turn it back into the Land of Departure. And you actually do see it like that. It's a sliding puzzle that slides all over the place. Also, when they turn this back into the Land of Departure in Kingdom Hearts 3, you would imagine it would look like this.
That would make sense.
But it doesn't. It just loaded an earlier save point of the world or something, because it's entirely fixed up again.
Convenient.
All that to say that Ventus is locked in safely in Castle Oblivion, where nobody can find him and nobody can get to him until AQUA comes back to get him out of there.
To unlock the door.
So, let's talk about why AQUA didn't do that for the past 12 years. Because she hears Terra's voice in her mind, asking her to please come find me and please come kill me. And no, Terra is not part Sora, he just wants to die. Because, as you remember, Terra has been taken over by Xehanort, which you can see because he has white hair and yellow eyes.
Uh-huh.
And pointy ears, I believe. It's also a sign. AQUA at first is fucking blind, apparently, because she doesn't notice the white hair. And she's like, oh, Terra, how are you doing? I was worried for you. And Terra / Xehanort / whoever you want to call this as. Again, people usually refer to him as Terranort. I'll just keep this image up. Seems to have amnesia. He doesn't really know what's going on or who he is. But he kind of does, but he mostly doesn't. It takes AQUA a literal choking, which again, some fanboy somewhere being very happy about, for her to realize, hey, maybe this is not Terra. So she goes to fight Terranort in a fight that is quite tricky, to say the least. And halfway through that fight, we see a dark figure popping out out of Terranaut's body. A Heartless, which I don't know if I've shown this Heartless before. I probably should have.
I don't think so.
But this is in Kingdom Hearts 1, in the final boss fight against Ansem. He has a Heartless Guardian, and that is this dude. And why that is relevant, we will figure out later.
Fucking course. Also, nice mustache.
That's not a mustache. Those are bandages.
Okay.
It's just a PSP game.
Yeah.
So, Terranauts, Xehanauts inside Terra, whatever, gets angry enough to just literally spawn a Heartless out of him, which looks like this and becomes a recurring theme to do with specifically Xehanauts' Heartless form, so that being Ansem, Seeker of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make the fight much easier, I'll tell you. It makes the fight even rougher, because now you're fighting Terranaut while also getting assaulted by this fuckhead. But eventually, after dying many times, you will make it through this fight, at which point Terra starts to fight back against Xehanort, trying to get control back over his body. And Xehanort, not liking that idea, decides to stab himself with his Keyblade. Again, in the hopes of unlocking Terra's heart from the body and being fully in control and not getting held back from Terra anymore.
Basically murdering Terra from his own body.
Pretty much. That's the idea of what he's trying to do here. Mm-hmm. What it ends up doing instead is, I don't have a picture of that, the Guardian Heartless, so this guy, starts to melt into a bottle of darkness, which turns into kind of a portal or a gateway, which Terra falls down into. Terra Xehanort, that is. Aqua thinking, oh, this must mean that Terra is back, because he was just fighting of whoever was possessing him. She had no idea that it's Xehanort to begin with. She sees her best friend falling into the darkness, so she jumps after him into the realm of darkness and tries to drag him back out into the real world. But the portal is closing, and she knows that we're not fast enough to make it out of here. We're going to both be stuck in here. So what I'll do instead is I'll use my Keyblade and my armor to give Terra a little bit of a boost so he can make it through the portal, and I myself will fall down into the depths of darkness, being trapped in Kingdom Hearts' version of hell.
Fun.
And while she falls down and fades into the darkness, the last thing she says is, I'm sorry, Ven, but I think coming back to get you out of Castle Oblivion, it's going to take a little longer than I anticipated.
Yeah, that would be quite an understatement.
Very much, because that's where Aqua has been this entire time. Throughout the time skip, throughout Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, everything we've done so far, Aqua is literally just in hell. She's been in hell for 10 years, 12, really.
Yikes.
And Sora sheds a tear, because Ventus is sad knowing that his friend... I don't know how Ventus would know that Aqua is now in the realm of darkness. But
because the power of friendship.
Because the power of friendship and hearts and lights and something like that. But Sora, being a little kid on the beach, sheds a tear, and Rico asks him, "The fuck are you crying for, little baby?" And Sora just shrugs it off, like, I don't know, maybe somewhere somebody is being sad, and that makes me sad. And Sora, I'm here to tell you, if you're going to be sad anytime anybody anywhere is sad, you're going to have a really difficult life.
Yeah, you're going to be real sad.
The next morning, Drake, Sigbar, leads Ansem the Wise, not Ansem Seeker of Darkness, different person, to the plaza where Terra Xehanort is found, where he wakes up and Ansem asks him, "Young man, what is your name?" And the only thing that Terranaut can remember is just one name, Xehanort. Other than that, he seems to have complete amnesia. He doesn't know where he is, who he is, he doesn't know anything about his Keyblade, about light or darkness or anything. He just knows Xehanort. After all that, we also have a secret episode or super secret episode or whatever. I tried looking through that to see if there's any like relevant stuff for us to talk about, but there is not. It's just gameplay of Aqua fighting Heartless in the realm of darkness while getting progressively more and more depressed.
Oh.
But we have an entire game that is about that. So I'm not going to talk about that here because we have a game that does the exact same thing, but actually with like story relevance. And that is the main story. So now we have some secret endings to make our way through.
Of course, we can't be done yet.
There's just 4 more cutscenes, about 1 more page of notes. So,
but at this point, like we know why these 3 are in some need of saving.
Yeah, at this point we have we figured out the fate of all 3, and
yeah, one is in hell, one is being possessed by like the evilest of dude, and the other one is locked away by the person who's in hell, who has the only thing that can, free him.
While also being comatose, as long as they don't have a way to return his heart to him, which is actually what the first scene of the first secret ending is about, because we see Sora standing on his Station of Awakening, which looks very different as a kid from his adult version, because there's no people in this, just like his favorite toys and stuff, which I think is cute. And that's where Van's heart, that's not Van's heart.
Definitely, yeah.
Van's heart comes floating down to Sora, telling Sora that, hey, a few years ago when I was dying and you were being born, you helped me out, giving me a part of your heart to be able to heal. Now I'm in trouble again, so can I please stay at your place for a while? Can I crash on the couch, please?
You didn't consent to it the first time, and now I'm in trouble again. But you, this time you are old enough to kind of consent to it, so please?
Yeah, can I please freeload in your heart for a little while? And Sora, being the good guy he is like, of course you can. Come up, all in here. Come up. I've got plenty of room in my heart. My heart is a fucking hotel.
For now, there's still plenty of room.
Oh, for now it is. Van only half a heart at this point, to be fair.
Also.
It's the first person that we know of at this point in time anyway, to enter Sora's heart. I mean, after that we have Kairi and Roxas and Naminé is in Kairi actually, and Xion and all those people. Those all come after. Ventus is the first person, so he called dibs on this heart.
He's the first to check in.
Yeah.
And probably the not the last to check out, because he's as far as we know the only one at this point who maybe can check out.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's where Ventus's heart ends up. So just to go back to, we know where everybody is. We know Terra is being possessed. Ventus's body is in Castle Oblivion. His heart is inside Sora. And AQUA is in the realm of darkness, just getting depressed as all hell.
No, getting depressed in hell.
Pretty much, yeah. Speaking of being depressed and hell, the next scene we see is of Terra and Xehanort having a little heart-to-heart, we could say, because they're inside their heart.
Yeah.
Where Terra's like, I'm gonna regain control, you old fart. And Xehanort's exactly like, yeah, kind of doubted. You couldn't even handle your own darkness. The whole reason I'm in your heart is because you couldn't handle your own darkness. How in the world do you expect to fight back against mine? That's not going to happen, buddy. And they just have a bit of a back and forth where it is implied that Terra is going to regain control at some point with the help of Master Ericus, maybe? Huh? Maybe there's a little bit of Ericus still going on there. Who knows? Meanwhile, Terra Xehanort is now fully turned into what we call Apprentice Xehanort. And that's the Xehanort that we know studied under Ansem the Wise, eventually betrayed him, took Ansem's name, turned himself into Heartless and a Nobody, and then became a huge problem for us to be the final bosses of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. That's this dude. At this point in time, he still has amnesia, so when Break is like, hey, Xehanort, old buddy, old pal, how you doing? Xehanort's like, the fuck, who are you? Because Xehanort doesn't know what all's going on. One thing he does know, though, is that darkness really makes him feel things. He's really interested in the darkness. Speaking of darkness, in the realm of darkness, AQUA...
There's the hooded figure. God damn it.
We finally got one in this game. I'll tell you who it is, because we actually see his face in the shot before this. This is Ansem the Wise. Because at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, you might recall, you probably don't, Ansem the Wise had that machine which he was using to digitize Kingdom Hearts, which blew up. Yeah. And that explosion turned Riku back into his normal self, somehow. And presumably killed Ansem the Wise, because he was literally on top of an explosion. Well, it depends on what you mean with killing, because what it actually did is blast him into the realm of darkness, and that is where he is now. So, at this point...
He's like Red Skull being zapped away by the Tesseract to fuck you nowhere.
Yeah, except he also has amnesia. So he barely knows who he is. He remembers very little of his life. He just knows that he's in a realm of darkness and that he's been here before. And this is at the end, or even after the end, of Kingdom Hearts 2. So at this point, we have skipped 12 years ahead. So Aqua's been in the realm of darkness for over a decade. And she runs into Ansem the Wise, which goes as follows. Yeah, he tells her he has very little memories left of Yensid, apparently. He tells her he has very little memories left of who he used to be and where he came from. But he has memories of a boy with a strong heart and fierce determination to protect his friends. Aqua thinks, hey, that sounds like either Terra or Ventus, maybe. Do you know their name? Is it Terra or Ventus? And Ansem the Wise is like, I'm sorry, I don't know either of those people. I'm talking about Sora. And Aqua sits up, thinking, whoa. God damn it, he got a Keyblade anyway. And she just sheds a tear for both the fact that she's disappointed in the fact that Terra and Ventus aren't okay, but also for the fact that Sora now has to carry the responsibility that she couldn't carry out.
He became a main character anyway. God damn.
Yeah. And that is the end of Birth by Sleep. And also, Ansem the Wise in that whole speech does a title drop. Birth by Sleep. It's because everything is reborn from sleep. It's really forced in there. It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't make sense.
It also does not make sense. Specifically because the next game we're going to be talking about is actually about sleep. So that one should have definitely been called Birth by Sleep. But hey, you might remember one thing. Before we do a little retrospective on this very rushed through lore dumping, because I'm aware we rushed through this. There's not that much to talk about. We've finished Birth by Sleep now. And if you recall correctly, maybe, at the end of Kingdom Hearts Coded, I said there's some secret ending cutscenes, which I didn't discuss back then, because they were added in the remade version, which came out after this game.
Right.
So now it's time to talk about those. And this is where shit starts getting... So, Mickey and Yensid are talking. And Yensid's like, okay, I wonder what our next move should be. And Mickey thinks, what do you mean our next move? We beat Ansem, we beat Xemnas, everything is fine. Xehanort is dealt with. And Yensid explains, no, that's exactly the issue. You killed Xemnas and Ansem. So now we need to worry about Xehanort again. Because as it turns out, when you destroy a corresponding Heartless and Nobody pair, the original person, for some fucking reason, reforms.
What?
Yeah, so that's a thing.
Right.
Straight up, that's just a thing. We killed Ansem, which was Xehanort Heartless. We killed Xemnas, which was his Nobody. So that means that Xehanort Prime, the original person, the human being, is going to be coming back.
Okay.
So if you killed Roxas and the Heartless that Sora became, that would have also been a good way of just getting Sora back.
Huh.
I didn't know that at the time. Neither did the writers, clearly.
Yeah. Also, does that just mean that it's just a circle and nobody actually dies?
If you get turned into a Heartless/Heartless Nobody pair, indeed, it's just a circle and you don't die. You can still just get stabbed with a knife, or just get sick and die. Death is still a thing. But the way we've been treating getting turned into a Heartless as pretty much just dying, that is not the case. Once the Heartless and Nobody get destroyed, you just come right back.
Why the fuck are we still fighting with Keyblades then? Why not just get a gun and actually kill someone?
Most people use actual weapons. That's a very good question. And I don't really have an answer to that. Because, the reason we're fighting with Keyblades is because Keyblades are the only thing that we can use to kill Heartless. At least, canonically speaking. I mean, in gameplay, Donald and Goofy also kill Heartless. But The thing is, if a non-Keyblade wielder kills a Heartless, the way they explain it away is that Heartless just reforms somewhere else again, because that darkness isn't destroyed, it's just redistributed. When a Keyblade kills a Heartless, the Heart is actually set free and the Heartless is actually destroyed. So, for fighting Heartless, a Keyblade makes sense. For fighting other people, you definitely should just be using a gun. Yeah. To be fair, there's more and more characters who actually just straight up do use, like, swords and guns. At least in the last couple of years. So, that is the important thing that I have been talking around for, like, the last half a year, as long as we've been doing this project. So, that means that everybody in the organization who were nobodies have the opportunity to now come back as humans, because we've killed their nobodies, all of them. So if you've also killed their Heartless, they're gonna come back.
So the way for them to come back is just for their nobody forms to commit suicide?
Yeah. But what they should do, if they want their human body and their human being and their heart back, is they should go find their Heartless, kill it, which again has to be done with a Keyblade, and then just commit suicide. And then they would... There is a chance that the nobody also needs to be destroyed by the Keyblade. That I don't know. But
so there should just be some Keyblade wielder who's like, I'm gonna make a business out of this and just find nobodies who want to just go back to being normal people, find their Heartless, kill it, and then go back to the nobody and say, I killed your Heartless. Now, boom, you're dead. Ta-da, you're a normal person again.
Yeah.
Now pay the fuck up.
That is that is definitely something they should do. That said, in Xehanort's case, we had like Ansem as his Heartless, which was a very recognizable, like, person-like Heartless. There's no reason to believe that happens for the other organization members as well. So
they could just be some weird black blob with eyes and legs that fucking around.
Yeah, because remember, when Sora turned into Heartless, he was just like one of the little black ant-looking dudes. So the organization members literally could be any of the hundreds, if not thousands. At least 1,000, because in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's one fight where you fight 1,000 of them. It could be any of the tens of thousands of Heartless that you kill throughout the entire series. Just like, I am having trouble with this boss fight. Nameless Heartless number 374 that I killed during grinding could be like Axel's Heartless. Could be.
So that makes it kind of a guessing game, as in...
you would never know.
I think I killed your Heartless. Let's just kill your nobody form and let's see.
You'd probably be better off doing it the other way around. It's just first killing the nobody and then just going on a murder spree of Heartless and hoping that you find the right one. Although I think it's fair to assume that at least for the organization members, their Heartless probably would be like boss fights and not just a random...
That would make sense, yeah.
There's a few boss fights that at least are thematically linked to certain organization members that... At least as far as fan theories go, people assume that is the corresponding Heartless, but there's no like hard facts about that because it's not that important either. But I can see a situation where, for instance, Axel's Heartless is one of the fire-themed Heartless boss fights that you fight throughout the series. So there's like 3 or 4 of them. So it's probably one of those is Axel's Heartless.
Yeah.
But it could also just be a random, like, little minion Heartless that is fire-themed, because there's also a bunch of those. So that's the mechanics about Heartless and Nobodies. Now that we know that the next games, Master Xehanort is going to be back as a person, and he's going to be in big trouble. So what do we do about all that? And the answer is we need more Keyblade Masters, because we used to have a lot of them, and then Xehanort murdered one of them and banished one of them to the Realm of Darkness. And I am retired, so I can't fight. That being Jens Sid. We've got you, Mickey, but you alone aren't the match for this. So what we need is more Keyblade Masters. How do we get more Keyblade Masters?
Well, Mickey should be like, I know a few. Well, they're not masters, but at least wielders.
And that's the thing. Sora and Riku are going to have to take their Mark of Mastery exam to become proper Keyblade Masters.
Well, yeah, that seems about time. Yeah.
I'll give you one spoiler. That's what the next game is about. And it's the entire game that's about that. So their exam is going to be a little more involved than just hitting a couple of balls of light.
And for Riku to be like, I spotted some darkness. You're fucked.
Funny you say that,
Yeah,
because
I was thinking.
I will... Will I tell you that? I will tell you that. Much like
Next time.
in this game, there's no guarantee that either or even both of them necessarily graduate to Keyblade Master.
Well, you gotta have some tension and some conflict, so makes sense.
And it's we'll get into what the actual exam is, because that's the entire story of the next game. It's a fucking insane exam compared to what Terra and Aqua went through. That's the setup for the next game for the hero side. But we also want to know, what is the villain side up to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there we see the organization members, at least a number of them, in Radiant Garden as humans waking up. Because all of their heartless and nobodies have apparently been destroyed because we didn't want to make new characters. So we see Break, Zigbar, talking to somebody just off screen, saying that old man Xehanort, he is weird, dude. He kind of scares me. It's like he can read into your soul and your mind. I don't like him. I wonder if even you know what's going on inside your own head. You're like, okay, who is he talking to? He's talking to Xehanort. This is Xehanort.
Am I misremembering something, or did he get a new face again?
He got a new face again. Because this, and I threw this up months ago, this is young Xehanort. This is a time-traveling Xehanort.
God, we're gonna get timey-wimey.
Yeah, next game we're gonna start getting timey-wimey. This is Xehanort from when he was, I think, about like 16, 17 years old, so way back in time. And there's some time travel plot going on again. It'll make a little bit more sense why that is the case next time. But young Xehanort is here, and he tells Break that as time has gone on, Keyblades were forged to be handed down from master to apprentice to apprentice to apprentice to apprentice. And as there were more and more Keyblade wielders over time, more and more Keyblades were created to be passed down through these lineages. Master Xehanort's Keyblade, which, do I have a screenshot of that? No. That one.
Oh, yeah.
Is the oldest Keyblade in existence. It's the most ancient, even, specifically. Mm-hmm. And young Xehanort knows that even though he does not yet have this Keyblade, so he hasn't been handed down that Keyblade yet, it is his destiny to walk that path and eventually gain that Keyblade. To which Break says, cool story, I don't really care. I have my own plans. So let's get this thing moving. We need to pick one of these people for our plan. Who is it going to be? And I'm going to leave you with not knowing who they pick. It's one of these people they're going to use for their evil plan.
Ooh.
So one of these people is going back into the organization at least. Because we're rebuilding Organization 13. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's not that important, really. We'll get to that in the next game. And with that, we are done with Birth by Sleep. Next time we're going to cover Kingdom Hearts 3D with 3DS.
Oh, it's not Kingdom Hearts 3?
It's not Kingdom Hearts 3. It's they've changed the name to Kingdom Hearts HD in the HD remake. It has a subtitle. It's Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. And the whole reason for that is because it's on the 3DS, and also because at this point in time, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop, as most people call it for short, was released in 2012. So it's been like, I think, 6 years since Kingdom Hearts 2 at that point. So they were just taking the piss out of people and calling it Kingdom Hearts 3D because they knew people really wanted Kingdom Hearts 3. and
also, like, 2012 was the height of calling everything 3D. So
yeah, and literally every 3DS game had 3D in the title almost. So
yeah,
it's fitting. But they knew what they were doing. And in that game, we're finally going to go back to Sora, because what's the last time we've actually seen Sora?
Right, he was here.
Yeah, he was the main character, I believe, at some point.
Somewhere, somehow.
Somewhere along the line, Sora was a thing. We're going to go back to Sora and Riku in the next game. And after that, we finally... actually, no, after that, we're not going to get to 3 yet. There's some more shit to cover first.
There always is.
So, to end of this this episode, for once I actually came prepared. We're going to cover the variety of different versions of every single character that can exist. We haven't done that for the last 2 episodes because we hadn't finished the game. Now we have finished the game, so let's go over it. For the number of Soras, we have 5. Now, is that 6? Is that 5? I'll just call them all out. We have Sora Prime, the original Sora. We have Roxas. We have Naminé, which is half Sora. We have Xion. And now we also, the new additions are, of course, Ven, which his heart was healed partly out of Sora's heart. And now he is existing inside of Sora's heart. And Vanitas, because he is literally evil Sora. Riku's hasn't changed. We still only have Riku and Replica Riku. The same for Kairi. We only have Kairi, Naminé, and Xion. Xehanort, we have Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, Xemnas, Riku, Xehanort. I think I didn't count that one before, but in Kingdom Hearts 1, when Riku was possessed by Ansem, that's technically a Xehanort. Also, Terranort, Master Xehanort, and Young Xehanort. So we're getting quite a lot of Xehanorts walking around.
Yeah.
And that will be kind of pivotal in the next game as well. For now, though, that has been Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and somehow we've managed to rush through this one. I don't want to say quickly, but...
Well, for our doing.
For how insanely long the last couple of episodes have been, I think we did a pretty good job. So, any comments, any questions, any complaints?
Complaints plenty. That's just par for the course for this series.
Definitely.
There's so many Xehanorts at this point. And he comes back because his Heartless and his Nobody were murdered. There's just one that returns, right?
Yeah. Now, for most of these characters, most of the iterations don't exist at the same time.
Except for Sora's heart.
Yeah, except for Sora and Roxas coexist for some time, and Naminé and Xion as well, and Ven and Vanitas. So those all coexist at overlapping times. Riku and Riku Replica, well, Riku Replica is literally just like a clone of Riku, so they coexist.
Mm-hmm.
For Kairi, Naminé, and Xion, it's the same thing. Xehanort, most of the time, there's only 1 or 2 of these versions around. Like, we had Ansem and Xemnas, which were Heartless and Nobody, so they coexisted, obviously. Riku Xehanort, you could argue, is just Ansem in a different body, because that's what he is. He's just Ansem possessing Riku. And Terranort is just Terra possessed by Xehanort, and Master Xehanort is just Xehanort in his original body. So, for the most part, only 1 of these Xehanorts exists at a time. So, after Xemnas and Ansem have been defeated, Xehanort returns, but that means there's only 1 Xehanort around. So that's going to be... And don't ask me why, but after Terranort splits into Ansem and Xemnas, and we kill Ansem and Xemnas, it is original Xehanort who comes back.
Yeah.
That is literally just because he needed to be the final boss of the saga, because it's he's the villain of the entire thing, so I guess they decided he needed to be the big final boss in his all-man form. It makes no sense.
I mean, he's the Thanos of this whole thing up to now, so...
Yeah. It's kind of like... Terranort is like the Loki in this situation. He's like a big deal, and you probably don't want to fight him still, because he's still a badass motherfucker, but he's not the big and bad. And for the final boss of the series, you want to have that visual of Old Man Xehanort as a fight. So that's the real reason that it's Old Man Xehanort coming back. They give a half-assed explanation in the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, because the body gets regenerated from the heart, and it's still Xehanort's heart, so it regenerates his original body, not Terra's body. I think that's the bullshit explanation they go with.
Right.
So that's Xehanort. But again, we'll have plenty of Xehanorts to go around in the next game, because that list of Xehanorts is going to start getting quite long. I'll tell you that much. Oh, and I say there's only 1 Xehanort. At this point in time, we also have time-traveling young Xehanort around.
Right. we're getting timey-wimey, and then multiple versions of the same. People start walking around. Yay.
I think we only get that in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop and Kingdom Hearts 3. Like multiple people of the same, multiple versions of the same person walking around due to time travel. Time travel does come into play with different mechanics and different reasoning in other games as well. But that's at that point, it's not multiple versions of the same person around. It's just one person going from one point in time to another point in time.
At least we don't see the other. I mean, if you're time traveling to a time where you were also alive, by definition, you have two versions.
But that's the thing. Any other time travel we see, aside from the Xehanort-related time travel, some Sora-related time travel as well. Aside from like the Xehanort-related time travel, let's keep it at that for the time being, is over such long periods of time that the person isn't there anymore, and that's like it's a one-way ticket. So I'll just explain very vaguely. There's time travel in the mobile game because of course there is, and those characters leave that time period because that takes place in the time before the Keyblade War. So as the Keyblade War starts fucking shit up, they leave their time period to go forward in time to a point where the Keyblade War is over, where it's safe to be again. So there's no second version of them already in that time. So in between the time where they like left and the time they travel to, they just simply don't exist. They just disappear from existence and then they reappear sometime later in a different location. And they reappear an indescribed amount of time, which is presumed to be at least in the thousands, potentially in the tens, hundreds of thousands to millions of years.
Yeah, that's probably a safe margin.
It's somewhere in there. We know that the Keyblade War and the story about the world splitting apart and falling to darkness and all the worlds being one, that story that Kyrie's grandma tells, is so far removed from the present day that it's only known as a very obscure legend. Like Xehanort knows about it and Keyblade wielder masters know about it because it's a cautionary tale passed down through the Keyblade wielder lineage. And for some reason, Kyrie's grandma knows about it because of the plot. We need somebody to have that story and explain it to us. But we're so fucking far removed from it that it could be like it has turned from an historic event into a story, into a legend. So at least 1,000 years, I would at least say. But it could be potentially much more.
It's kind of the stories of the Greek gods equivalent, like right now.
Something like that, yeah. Didn't know the time period in which all those myths were created. It would be very hard for, at least for me, I'm no historian, but I imagine it would be very hard to, without any further context, distinguish the legend of King Arthur from the Egyptian gods, for instance. You know, both were very long ago, but there's like 3,000 or 4,000 years in between those myths being created. And we have a little bit of the same thing going on here. We know it's a fuck of a ton of time has passed since all that transpired, to the point where most people don't even know about it anymore, and that's actively like suppressed, maybe even. I don't know, but we don't know how long it's been. Is the thing, and there's certain characters from that time period who exist in the modern timeline through most of them through time travel.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. It's kind of hard to explain without the proper context of what is a very messy game. It took 10 years for that story to be released in very small chapters. So that's going to be fun to cover in one evening or afternoon. For now, if there's nothing else, I think we have a good point to end things off here.
I think we're about done, yeah.
I think you were done about 3 episodes ago. Next time, time travel.